Let's we'll find a nice comfy seat. And I'll get my screen set up. And we'll just settle in there. We are going to have a blanket or towel and a ball handy. But for the moment, let's just settle in. Oh, let our spine get nice and vertical. Maybe let the eyes close. Feel the way our body is receiving the inhale breath and offering the exhale breath. There's this fairly well-known and remarkably capable adventurer who has a incredibly capable guide leading him on this expedition. And this guide is capable of nearly superhuman feats, given the direct and specific request. This guide can do anything. Give ourselves just about 45 more seconds here, just feeling the way we're sitting, feeling the way our body has landed, and feeling the way we're respirating. Last 10 seconds here. And when it feels appropriate for you, let the eyes open if they are closed. Let's take our palms into a place where they can face towards the ceiling or sky, and we're going to draw our shoulders up towards our ears and then squeeze them back and start a rounding movement pattern. So it's up, back, forward, up, back, with both shoulders, palms facing up. Really easy to get going fast or fast in certain stints of movement. So if you notice that the body's wanting to rush through areas, try to consciously slow those areas down so that we're really moving intentionally through the areas where our body is least comfortable being intentional. Give ourselves just maybe 2 or 3 more cycles through in this direction. And then we're going to soften and relax. And as you soften, try to feel the tops of the shoulders, get as much distance as possible away from the bottoms of the ears. And then we'll reverse our movement. We're going to start up again. So we'll squeeze up, and then we're going forward and then rounding and back. The scapula are forced to really float around to do what scapula do here. But again, try to be very intentional, particularly in the areas where the body is less comfortable with that intentionality. one or two more times in this direction. And we'll eventually relax. So again, we want the tops of the shoulders to distance themselves away from the bottoms of the ears. Let's take the right hand over to the left elbow and the left hand over to the right elbow. And then we're going to inhale the arms up towards the forehead. For some of us, this will come over the top without problems. For some of us, we'll run into that forehead space, and that's where we'll stop. And then we'll just exhale the elbows all the way back down so they come up against the rib cage. And we'll inhale up and exhale down. Let's do this 3 more times in this orientation. Inhale up. And exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. And last time, this time as we get to the peak of our shape. So with elbows facing up and overhead, let's pause here. And let's squeeze the elbows back and behind us and try to feel this lateral line expansion. And then we'll exhale and release. Let the arms go. Move the shoulders here. And then we're going to do that in the reverse orientation. So left hand to right elbow, right hand to left elbow. And we'll inhale up. And exhale down. Again, being very conscientious of our movements, inhaling up. And exhaling down. Inhaling up. And exhaling down 2 more times here. Inhale up. And exhale down. And last time, same thing at the apex of the shape, elbows facing up towards the ceiling. We'll squeeze the elbows back and behind us, try to get some lateral line expansiveness. We feel that all the way up into the armpits, and then we'll relax. Let the arms come down. In totality and be at ease. Let's extend our legs out in front of us for a little staff. And from staff, we'll just take ourselves forward into a nice little fold. Just enough to soften here. This does not need to be a full fold. This is just about waking up the posterior chain, kind of feeling into what the posterior chain is offering us this morning. Let's just be as at ease as is possible here. Give ourselves 45 more seconds just to explore this forward fold. When it feels appropriate for you. Bring the spine back to vertical. Let's have our ball and our blanket handy. And for the blanket, let's take this from a shelf fold and hot dog fold it once. So we end up with something like this. We'll set that to the side for the moment. And then we are onto our spine. And landing here. Feeling the way we've created change in our body already in practice. When it feels appropriate for you, let's take our ball and we're going to place that right at the proximal humeral head joint. So looking to be on the fleshy side, not the arm side of the joint here, but looking to have some pressure on that medial shoulder capsule line. And let's release once you get the ball placed, let's release the left arm down, palm up, and just feel this for a moment. Really trying to emphasize shoulder health this morning. So we're looking for a full rotation here. We're going to inhale. The arm starts palm facing up. We're going to inhale, and the arm starts to rotate so that as the fingers point towards the ceiling or sky, the left palm points towards the right side of your room. And then as you start to continue overhead towards the space behind you, the palm starts to rotate so that as the arm extends into the space behind you, the palm faces once again towards the ceiling or sky. And then we'll reverse that. So as you inhale, arm comes back up, the palm is rotating so that as we get to the point where the fingers face towards the ceiling, left palm faces towards the right side of the room. And then we rotate back into this external rotation position. Really hard to get the rotation to match the length of the travel arc, but really try to do that so that there's a very subtle amount of rotation so that you're not fully rotated until the back of the hand lands on both sides of movement. Really hard to do, really easy to just get the palm into the place where we want to be. So we're really trying to connect this mind-body experience of small equivalent to movement rotations while we work on the shoulder capsule health using that ball pressure. And we're just continuing here with our own breath cycle, trying to find our way into more and more fluidity in the movement and more conscious awareness of the movement as we progress. So anytime this adventurer didn't have a solution for the problem, for a problem, for any problem, he found that all he had to do was specifically request from this guide what he wanted. So if he wanted to get to the other side of a mountain range without traveling through any snowpack, he just had to explicitly state that to his guide. I need to find a way to get from this side of the mountain to the other side of the mountain. I do not want to travel through snowpack. We need to find the most optimized way. And the guide could do this instantaneously. And he started to push those boundaries more and more. He started to be like, I want to get from place A to place B, but I want to travel through the spot where I'm most likely to find wealth and riches. And the guide could do this. And they would go along this path, and sure enough, they'd find some way to find riches along this adventure. Any request that this adventurer had, as long as it was appropriately given to the guide could solve. And yet there were times when the adventurer would make a request and the guide would create a solution for the request, but the solution wasn't what the adventurer wanted. And in those instances, it was always the fact that the adventurer had made the request to the guide in a way that was unclear. Maybe one more time in each direction here. Really just being conscious of our movement patterns. And then eventually you're going to come to a place where we release the ball from underneath the left shoulder. And we take our arms out towards cactus and we just feel a bilateral comparison. What's going on the left side compared to the right side? No judgment about what is going on, just observing. We'll give ourselves about 15 more seconds here just to feel this bilateral comparison. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's take our ball over to the second side, the right side. We'll find that soft tissue place at the shoulder joint. And then we'll let the palm come face up towards the waist. And then we'll inhale up with this slow rotation. And then back overhead with that slow rotation. Really takes a lot of effort, a lot of mental effort to do this. Physically, there's some challenge for a lot of us because we have some dysfunction in our shoulder movement. But this is much more of a mental task for most of us than it will be a physical ask. The more conscious we can be in our arm movement, the more impact we can make on the shoulder capsule. So it's not just a challenge for the mind-body connection. It is about giving our shoulders range of motion when we eventually leave the mat. That is the longer term impact of these movements. At the same time, there can be some muscular feedback that is pretty intense as we move here. So working through a lot of things, working through the challenge of movement integration with space, the challenge of the physicality of potentially dysfunctional musculature, the challenge of a very mobile joint, and the challenge of time duration, where we have to stay mentally connected to these movements throughout this full sequence without losing that consciousness, which is very easy to do when we start to lose the space time correlation for our movements. So as this adventurer went on with this guide, he started to realize that this guide had every answer he did not have. And the only time he got frustrated with the guide is when he wasn't clear enough in his requests. So one night, as they're sitting around a campfire, the adventurer says, I'm growing quite weary of being so conscientious of the way I request things of you. It's clear that of the two of us, you're the one with the intelligence. Why don't you come up with the requests, come up with the answers, come up with the questions, and guide us? And the guide kind of silently nods in understanding. And so from that day forward, the guide truly was guiding. And the adventurer was being led. About 60 more seconds here. As you're getting these last arcs of movement, really pay attention to how the ball is pressing against the musculature around the shoulder capsule, and how every angle of hand movement is changing the way that ball is pressurizing the musculature, or the musculature is pressing against the ball, is really how the change we're making. But really feel into these last little pieces of movement here. And when it feels appropriate for you, when you feel like you're complete, let's take that ball out from underneath the right shoulder. We can set that to the side for the moment and just let the arms come out to cactus and feel this bilateral experience of both shoulders. And then keeping your right arm where it is, let's take the left fingertips so they point towards the ceiling. So elbow stays at roughly 90 degrees. And then we're going to see how the left palm goes into internal rotation. If this feels like it's too much, lower the elbow. So you can take the pressure off by lowering the elbow. But we're going to look for a little bit of internal rotation. The goal is to stay That's wrong. The goal is to put yourself in a maximally beneficial position for your shoulder. This means we're listening to our body, right? The body is telling us where the ideal shoulder position is in this version of internal rotation. And we're just listening to that. Give ourselves about 60 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, we'll take our left arm back to an externally rotated position. So we end up back in cactus. And then we're going to do the same thing on the second side. So right palm goes, right fingertips towards the ceiling and then into the internal rotation. Remember, you can lower the elbow to take off tension here. And we want to put our arm in a place where it feels safe and expansive. Really trying to give our shoulders some deep intention this morning. Shoulders are a hypermobile joint and one of the two engines that we have that allow us to transverse and interact with the world. The hips and the shoulders allow us to experience the world. We want to take care of both of them. Last roughly 30 seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, right hand comes back to cactus. We're going to grab our ball and our blanket, and we're going to make a little neck taco. So from shelf fold, ball goes in the middle, folded over like a taco. And that is going to come behind us so that the ball can find its way into the architecture of the cervical spine. There are three main places that the ball can be. It can be in the apex of the curvature. It can be at the base of the skull, or it could be at the base of the cervical spine. Each placement has its own subtle variances and subtle benefits. But just choose the positioning that feels the most impactful for you this morning. And let's just be soft and at ease. This guide taking over decision making meant that it started to think about things differently. It started to be more hyper vigilant around the safety of this adventurer. And so one of the very first things it did is it took the adventurer into town and outfitted this adventurer in armor that could keep this adventurer safe, also armor that slowed down the traveling speed of the adventure. It's heavy, it was cumbersome. But the guide was thinking about things the adventurer hadn't. Another big change that happened, the guide's directive, evening fire stopped again. In relation to safety, the guide felt that evening fires drew attention and therefore were not beneficial. So the evenings became bitterly cold, especially when they are high in the mountains. Really allowing your neck to relax. Trying to land into those exhale cycles so that you can feel the maximum benefit from the ball wherever you have found that benefit to be coming from position-wise. to land. And remember that you can tweak and adjust the physical positioning that you have so that as our plane of time continues, we continue to find the maximum benefit from the shape. We'll give ourselves about 30 more seconds here. And when it feels appropriate for you, we'll pull the blanket out from underneath us. Let's remove that ball. And we are going to take our blanket or towel and bring that to a towel-like length. So we end up with some length, and then we'll roll that something like this over the ankles, let the bottoms of the feet come together and land here. And notice how we've been very upper body focused, right? So feel the upper body here land. Sometimes we can create so much space around the shoulder girdle that when we get into this shape, or we get into a horizontal shape, where we just relax like this shape, it can almost feel like we're tilted in that the sacrum is sitting above the shoulders because the shoulders have blossomed into this space so much. Just close your eyes and feel here. And after some time, the guide starts to make some changes to the hours that the adventurer and the guide travel. Instead of traveling during the daylight hours, they reverse things. They start to travel at night. It's cooler. It's quieter. They can be less seen. But it's also darker. And this adventurer is traveling now in armor at night, and he's tripping over things and he's falling down. And he's being forced to press himself back up, carrying all the weight of this armor. And then during the day, he's being asked to sleep, but it's hard to sleep with the sun beaming light down into you. And so his energy levels start to deplete. And then one night, the guide decides they're going to do these like big half-mile loops, and they're just marching in these circles all night long. And at first, the adventurer doesn't even notice it. And he sees this rock, and he sees it again, and he sees it again. He puts a little mark on it to make sure he's not going crazy. And sure enough, they've been marching in circles all night long. And when he comes across the mark he made on the stone, he loses it. He starts shouting at the guide for the first time ever. He says, "Why are you having us march in circles?" And the guide very calmly explains, "I'm worried about a sight and sound I heard on the horizon. And I'm trying to prevent anyone who's seen us from predicting where we'll go next. No one would expect we would spend all night marching in circles. And therefore, no one will be able to plan where we're headed." Give ourselves about 90 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, we can bring our knees back together and set that prop to the side for the moment. Let the knees start to rock side to side in a little bit of rotational exploration, consciously moving into and out of these twists. Maybe one more time in each direction. And eventually, when it feels appropriate for you, we bring our knees back to neutral. Let's bring our thighs in towards our torso for a little squeeze. And then just ask yourself if there's anything that you want, if there's anything you need, if there's anything you could benefit from prior to Shavasana. And if there is, let's offer that to ourselves now. If you have everything you want, if you're ready for your version of stillness, and let's drift into a shape where we can appreciate just that. Some perfect stillness and be at ease. Finally, this exhausted, bruised, and weary adventurer just shouted at the guide, "Stop this madness," as he fell into the dirt. And looking up at this guide, he said, "I am the one who hired you, and I am commanding you to stop this madness." Just finding your version of ease and stillness here. The adventurer lunged at the guide. And in that moment, something happened. Something within the adventurer woke up. And he found himself staring at a perfectly polished mirror. And he realized he was the one who had been frantically making himself march circles in the night. This adventurer realized that he and the guide were never separate people. He had simply surrendered the direction of his life to his own spiraling intellect and allowed his thoughts to dictate his reality. We'll start to bring some movement to our fingers and our toes. To our wrists and our ankles. To our elbows and our knees. Our shoulders and our hips. Neck, head, jaw, eyes, tongue. Eventually, the entirety of the body will move, and we'll utilize that movement to transition our way back into a seat in the seated space. Spine gets tall, breath gets fluid, eyes close. Now we'll inhale our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that a mind forced to follow can conquer the world, but a mind forced to lead will conquer its owner, and see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this morning's practice and for being you. Namaste. Namaskaram, Yogi. Thank you. Appreciate the heck out of you being here and taking care of yourself. I will be back tomorrow night to move. And if I don't see you then, have a beautiful week. We'll do this again next week. Love you. Mwah.